hey everyone. My name's Jedi, short for Jedidiah. You can make any Star Wars joke you want. It's totally cool. So I guess I'm just going to tell a little story, almost a continuation of last time I was here a couple months ago. There's a saying I heard once that you can't be courageous unless you've been afraid. And I know I'm terrified basically every day of startup life, like every single day, right? That's the moral. I'm gonna circle back to that moral. So I am a software developer by trade. I worked at a corporation. I know in the beginning some other people were talking about how they love corporations, right? Well, yeah, I was in the same boat, meaning I absolutely hated it, and I wanted to change it, and I had these big grandiose plans about how I single-handedly could change the way our corporation ran things and how we got involved with the community. So I went to our CTO the one day and I said, hey, our company really sucks, right? You guys complain that you can't hire any young talent. Well, have you come to the 20th century or the 21st? I mean, have you been here anywhere? And I thought I was gonna get fired for that. I didn't. That was good. And he's like, all right, well, why don't you do something to engage with the youngins, right? Like myself. I was like, all right, cool, I'll do that. So I'm a software developer, so I was looking for a hackathon, right? Because that's the big thing. Everyone wants to host a hackathon. So I said, okay, I'll host a hackathon, right? And I'll get organizations involved. So I looked up online, and there was this thing called Hack for Good. It was a series hosted by a company called Geeklist, and they basically brought nonprofits together, with developers to build solutions to help those nonprofits. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Right? Absolutely amazing. So I emailed the CEO of the company, and I said, hey, this isn't in Philly, why not, right? And he emailed me back, and he said, well, why don't you host it in Philly? And I was like, okay, awesome, right? So I spent the next 4 weeks, because I only had 4 weeks until the deadline, finding a venue, finding participants, finding nonprofits in the area, all that jazz that comes in with it, on top of my regular job, right? A week before the event, right, my company, right, who was supposed to be the main sponsor, comes to me and they say, Jedi, I hate to break this to you, but we, a technology company, are not comfortable with the word hackathon. And I said, it's called Hack for Good. It's all nonprofits. What are you talking about? And they're like, sorry, we're pulling our support. I'm like, all right, whatever, screw y'all. I'm hosting it anyway, right? So I hosted the event, went fantastic. At the end of the event, I emailed the CEO of Geeklist, who was hosting the hackathon. I said, hey, this was fantastic. We had it in Philly, and there was 6 other places worldwide that had it. I was like, but you could have done it better, right? And here's how. And I guess I'm a glutton for punishment, right? I also expected to never hear from him again. Well, instead, I got an email from him saying, hey, Jedi, this is fantastic advice. I am supposed to host Hack for Good in Dublin in 3 weeks for the Web Summit. Will you host it for me? I'm like, wait, what? Okay, sure. So I was like, all expense paid, right? I ain't got no money. And the guy's like, yeah, sure. So spent the next 3 weeks. I'm still working, right, at my other company, and I'm also working at nights for this, for the new company, trying to organize this event. It all comes down to the last minute. I just take a week of vacation, and I was very upset with my company. So I was like, yo, I don't care if you fire me. I'm done. I don't care. I'm done. So went to Dublin, hosted the event. It went fantastic. Not only did it go fantastically, but also I got to do some amazing things, right? We hosted the event right next to the Guinness factory, so I'm now certified to pour the perfect pint of Guinness, right? It's really cool. I can teach you all later if you want. I got to meet Elon Musk. I got to meet, I got to meet one of the mayor of Dublin and some really cool people. After the event, we got trashed at the Guinness factory. Go figure, right? And Ruben, the CEO, he goes to me. He's like, hey, what's it going to take to get you on board with my company, Geeklist? And I was already ready to quit my other company, but I played hard to get. So I was like, all right, let's do some negotiating. And negotiating when you have drinks is a lot of fun, right? It's a lot of fun. So on my flight back, I sent him my 2 weeks notice, right? And by the time I landed, right, I was basically working at another company. That was fantastic, right? And the whole time I'm like terrified. I'm like, well, I got like a mortgage and everything. I don't know what this new company is like. It worked out perfectly, right? And I know everyone's thinking like, wait, it's a perfect story, happy ever after, right? So fast forwarding a little bit, I started working for that company. It was amazing, a dream job. I got to fly out to the West Coast every 2 weeks. I got to work with a lot of startups, which is awesome. And then the downside started coming, right? Paychecks started coming a little late, right? People who we had promised money to started emailing me saying, hey, we never got that money. And that's when I started saying, like, oh, shit, what's going on here, And, I kept asking, and I was never told the truth. And I'm like, whoa, this could be a sinking ship. I was just in the middle of buying a house, too, right? And, I went to the guy. I was like, look, I need to know, am I actually going to get a paycheck, right? And he swore to me, yes, you will get a paycheck, right? And I was like, all right, I'm going to put in my offer. Well, I put in the offer, bought the house. A couple days later, basically, I found out I did not get that paycheck. And the company went under. So now I'm faced with this a situation where I have about $4,000 a month outgoing expenses, right? I have $2,000 in my bank account, right? Just two. And I've been doing a lot of civic stuff, so I met my co-founder during that period, Liz, and she'd been like asking me all the time, like, hey, will you start a business with me? Will you start a business with me? Right? And Liz has one fantastic trait, which is I trust her utterly, right? And I was like, you know what? Especially having come from this relationship where I couldn't trust the guy at all, I was like, I have two choices. I can either get a job right away, have plenty of offers, and make sure I'm financially secure, or I can take this huge risk, right, and go with her. And I told her, I'm like, Liz, look, I literally have 1 month to make some money here. Otherwise, I foreclose on everything, right? And she's like, all right, sure. And I was like, all right, whatever, let's do it. Like I just don't want to think about it anymore. Let's just do it, right? We got our first paycheck. Penn was one of our first clients. It actually worked out, right? And we've grown since then. It was terrifying, right? I don't know if it was courage or pure stupidity, but it was a lot of fun. It was a big experience, and it was a lot of fun. And we've had a lot of not only fun since then, but also just like amazing experiences. Yeah, I'm actually getting nervous just like talking about it because like, man, I'm thinking about, oh my God, all that debt I have, like all that student debt, bringing me back. So anyway, I guess the moral of the story is, you have to be afraid. That's a given, but you should have a little fun being afraid and just do some crazy, ridiculous shit that people wouldn't normally think about. And yeah, that's my advice.